I'm a little tired. Little tired. The rest of yesterday was really bad. I had to physically stop myself from calling the ex-husband just the whole rest of the night. And I probably sent him 700 texts without sending them, typed them and deleted them, and luckily didn't accidentally send them. And like, I know it's wrong, and I know I don't actually want him back, and I know that even if he were back, it would be not only exactly the same, but it would be so much worse. Because once you show people how far they can go and you forgive them, then they pick up where they left off and keep pushing boundaries. So these are all things I know. And like, even though I want him to come home and cuddle me, throughout our whole relationship, cuddles really only ever happened after he hurt me. When he was trying to make it better, or get me to stop crying, or convince me that nothing had happened. Which he convinced me of quite often. I was so confused all the time with him. But yeah, it's like, what do I want him to come home and cuddle me for? Because getting cuddles means that you get hurt first. I was like, what am I thinking? Last week, I think it was last week, there was a moment when it was really beautiful out here, and I was like, oh, I wish I had someone to slow dance with. I wish we were home. There's a very fleeting thought, and then I'm like, why would I want him to come home? Because we slow danced approximately one time to half of a song in the first month and a half that we were together, and then we never did again. So like, even to want him to do that is ridiculous because he didn't. Intimacy with him wasn't a thing. So I danced by my damn self. But that's when I was feeling a little bit better. I'm fucking so cold. I can't regulate my body. I need to eat. I tried yesterday and it didn't work. But yeah, I spent most of the day and then the rest of the night just wanting him so badly to come home but not be himself. And so knowing that, those aren't the right thoughts to have, I was trying to find ways to keep myself busy, which doesn't work because I don't have anything to do. I cut my hair. I haven't had my hair cut at a salon in 5 years. I do it in my bathroom with my dog shears because as soon as I got married, I had no more disposable income because my husband, who said that he made money, didn't make money. And then he hid money. And then you do what you have to do, right? Self-care is a luxury when you marry a liar. Hi, Kitty. So I don't remember exactly everything that I said in my video yesterday, but what I remember is that I wanted to touch kind of back on how subtle things can be and how it takes time to build up to more blatant and obvious abuse where you actually start to realize what's happening if you do. And like there's so many different examples that I want to cover, and I'm not going to cover hardly anything because it's really just kind of too hard to work through right now. But one thing that I can say is I was doubly caught, I thought at least, in the marriage from, again, right away when I had sold my home. My mom is, she was in a nasty car accident, and I lived in Los Angeles at the time, and then I moved home because she like died in the ambulance, and then they brought her back. I think I'm remembering that correctly. That was a really stressful time. And then like she almost died during surgery, and the whole shebang. And anyway, I moved home from Los Angeles, and then we bought a house together, and then I had an apartment. This was when I was dating, and I had a house and an apartment. And he had actually suggested that I move in with her, only to make it easier, only to later find out from him that actually the only reason he wanted me to move in was because he didn't trust me, and he wanted someone to keep an eye on me. You know, come to realize that he was worried that I was cheating because he was cheating. But anyway, so he wanted someone to keep an eye on me, so I moved in with her. And then when we got engaged, and we're looking at houses and everything, we found this one which worked for our needs and our future. And I sold that house to buy this house with him. And in order to do that, we had to like get married. And so we got married. And after we got married, I found out that he didn't have money to put into this home. And my mom saved the day and put her entire life savings into the home because she was going to live with us, and then he was going to pay her back. And yeah, I found out like 2 weeks after we got married that he had nothing. But anyway, so then he had that episode and lost his fucking mind. And I was terrified of him. But part of what he said that he was going to do was divorce me. I think the first time that he mentioned divorce after we got married was like 2.5, 3 weeks in. And then it never stopped the whole fucking time until we actually got divorced, in which case he blamed it on me, even though he was the one that said he was leaving. I just had to do the filing. So anyway, but during that episode, he had said that he was going to force the sale of the house and then take half of the equity, which was 100% from my mother, and half the contents of the home, and which was not his, were not his, and that hurting her was just collateral damage to show me that he could hurt me. This is all in text message. Like, I can't make this shit up. I'm not gonna lie. I learned that, like, if you can't prove something with him, he'll talk you out of believing it even happened. Even if you can prove it, he'll still somehow fucking talk his way out of having experienced it, just like he did at court. Anyway, so he said he was gonna hurt her just to get back at me, because he could. And he wanted to show me that he could. And, you know, my mom was a single mom and worked her entire life and worked every single shift of overtime that she possibly could to help my sisters go to college and to help everybody pay bills and to everything. And the fact that she had some money saved up, And then he was just going to take it. Really put me in my place. And I even did, like, I called lawyers at the time, and they're like, well, you know, you put his name on the house, and technically you got married before you bought the house, so it is marital property, so he is entitled to something. And I'm like, of course that doesn't make any sense, that is not fair, that is not how it should work, but that's how they said that it would work. And so there was that. And so once I knew that he was using that as a threat, and then he continued to use it as a threat, I kind of backed off from fighting back. And then, but the other thing that happened is, like, I started to fucking hate him and love him at the same time. And, you know, he convinced me that everything that had happened during that period of time was just because he couldn't control his bipolar, and that he never meant any of it. And in order for him to move back in the house, he spoke with my dad and my stepmom and my mom, and promised all of them that he'd stop drinking and he would stop smoking, any other drugs, and that all he wanted to do was come back home and be with me and all that bullshit. And when I finally was like, okay, you can come home, he never stopped. He never stopped drinking. He didn't stop smoking. He didn't any of that. And when I was like, you said, liar, that you would. And he's like, well, I'm a grown-ass adult and nobody's going to tell me what to do. So I was fucked again, because he was back in the house. And, you know, saying if I tried to get him to leave, that he was going to hurt my mom again. And so I started to get to this, like, super resentful place where I wasn't being treated right. I wasn't okay. I didn't feel safe. Things were escalating, like, pretty good with him and what he was starting to get away with, because he knew I was fucking stuck. And then there was one night where these things that episode was in March, and then by June, it had already happened at least once, where he went fucking psychotic, and then it had happened again that night, and he was in a full-blown rage for hours. And when I say that, I'm talking about like constant movement. I like to, like, be still and quiet for the most part, and he was, like, all over, like, constantly all over, and hitting things and kicking things and talking and then yelling and then screaming, and wouldn't let me get away from him. And he wasn't getting better. Like, it wasn't getting better with time. It went on for 2 or 3 hours. And when I would try to get away from him, he would follow me. So, like, follow me from room to room. And at one point, I got away from him and closed the bedroom door. And he was screaming and was hitting the door. And he was like, you can't lock me out of my own bedroom. And illogically, in my brain, I'm like, that's actually true. I can't do that. Even though I'm terrified. Even though he's being aggressive. I'm like, no, I really can't do that. And then also, you know, he's like, I'm coming into the bedroom. And I was like, with insurance, it's gonna be much cheaper to fix me than it is to fix the fucking door. So I did let him back in the room. And like, at one point, I had to go to the bathroom. And he stood directly in front of me, knee to knee, while I went to the bathroom. And backed me up into the wall a few times. And then And I'm talking like spitting in my face. He's so close to me, you know. And then finally it was like, he's not getting better. Like, I've given him time to calm down, and I wasn't like mouthy. Like, I just try to let it run its course. And it wasn't running its course. And I was backed up into the kitchen wall. And I was like, I can't. I have to get him. Like, I'm fucking scared. And I was backed up into the wall, and I slapped him. And like, I was backed up. So if there's like a wall, it's not like it's just like a get out of my fucking face thing. And he's nearly 300 pounds. So like, it didn't hurt, let's be honest. But I got him to back up. And it wasn't like a fist. I didn't punch him like he loves to tell people. I slapped his ass. And if you're close enough to me that I can slap you, why the fuck are you that close to me? When you're the problem, not me. And then I don't know, I had been drinking, he was drunk and high. And it was a lot. So of course I don't remember everything. And it was 4 fucking years ago. Like, a lot has happened since then. I don't obviously remember everything. But I know that he did his typical, like, why are you doing this? Why? And I needed to get out of the situation. And I did get mouthy. And he said, why did you hit me or whatever? You just hit me. And I was like, yeah, I fucking hit you, and I wish that I could hit you again. And I did. I specifically remember wishing that I could hit him again. And I'm not a violent person. That's the thing. He's the first person that I have ever smacked. And he's the last person that I've ever smacked. And that was the only time that I've ever smacked him. It was just the once. And then I said some other stuff, which ironically was all true. It was just kind of mean. Which was like, you don't even deserve to be in this house. You're a loser. You don't work. You don't have money. So like, you know, it was mean. And it was true. And I needed him out of my face. What I didn't know was that he was recording. But he got out of my face long enough that I grabbed my car keys. And even though I was drunk, I drove down to the end of our private road and parked. I drove down without lights so that he couldn't follow me, and then parked down there to get some space. And then I knew that I needed to come home, so I left a note in my car that said if anybody finds me dead, I did it. And I walked home, which is about 2 miles, without shoes, and 1/3 of a mile of it is just gravel road. Holy shit, the bruises on my feet for weeks after that, and I slept outside. I gotta end the video and start a new one because I'm out of time. So anyway, I walked home and slept outside, and that's a thing as well. I'll talk about that someday. But because of this exact type of behavior with him and from him, I learned to feel safer outside at all times. I'm still spending as much time as I possibly can outside. I still don't feel safe in my house. And there's a lot of nights that I just sit on my porch the entire night because I don't want to go inside. And he's gone. Like, it shouldn't still be a thing, but it's a thing. I have a lot of things. I was just talking to someone just a minute ago, and he's knowledgeable. He's a counselor as well. He counsels me literally every day. And he knows what's going on. And that it's just from trauma. It's all from trauma. It fucked up my brain. Literally fucked up my brain. Like, I know if I got a CAT scan, it would show it, because it does. But I don't want the radiation, so. Anyway, I walked home. I slept outside. And the next day, after all of that, after multiple hours of being terrified, after multiple hours of being followed, after multiple hours of silence, and just trying to let him figure out and work through his own issues, and then that not happening, and then me having to do what I needed to do to be able to get away from him. He then told me that he had recorded it, but ironically, he only recorded from after I slapped him until I left the house. And my guess is that he had been recording for however long. I don't know. I would love the first 3 hours of what happened that night. I would love it. And if it exists or existed, this is all blanket. This is a relatively brand new blanket from a care package from some of my people. If any video of his crazy fucking bullshit for 3 hours existed, I don't believe it exists anymore. He just cut it conveniently to right after I slapped him. Or who knows? Maybe he has the slap itself too, I don't know. But he wants to be able to tell people that I punched him in the face. So video of a slap would prove that he's lying about that as well. Anyway, he played some of it for me while sobbing on the steps to the house. Like the whole body shake bullshit. And I was so pissed because with just his reaction, because I'm like, are you serious? That this is, do you not remember what happened for hours before that? Do you not remember how threatening you were? Do you not remember how violent and aggressive you were? Like that, none of that exists in your head. Flip side, I was fucking mortified. Like I'm not aggressive. I don't smack people. I certainly don't hit people. I don't smack people. But yeah, I don't do that. And then, like the shit that I said, again, while it was true, and it was mean, I don't typically say stuff like that either. Like I'm not an asshole. I'm not a fighter. I'd rather just walk away and ignore things. So I was pretty mortified with my own behavior. And he was sitting there crying and telling me that he's a battered husband and an abused husband. And I couldn't believe that that's what I had become. And it didn't, when I started to realize, like, what he was saying, factoring out completely what had happened prior to me smacking him and calling him a loser. I shouldn't have said it, but I know that I felt it. Factoring out completely his part in it. I'm like, what the hell happened to me? This isn't me. And my focus absolutely was no longer on what he did, but only what I had done. And that's the only thing that his focus was on. So we focused together on what a horrible human being and wife I was. And that was difficult for me. And then he had a friend. It was like a fan. My ex-husband is a professional player. I didn't even know it was a fucking sport. When I met him, I had to Google it. I know. But he's got like 10 fans or whatever. And he had this, that's not true. He has like a couple thousand people that follow him on Facebook. But a lot of them have seen who he actually is. So I guess I can't call them all fans, but this one was he's a counselor dude. I was talking to him free of charge because we had no money for a counselor. Oh no, you know what? I think he had just started seeing that Dina. He did, because he sent the videos to this fucking counselor and to prove that I was abusive, which further fucked up my head. But he talked to, I almost said his name, this dude about it, but I also talked to him about it and told him a little bit about it, and he was like, yeah, kind of said the same thing, that he'd been uncool for multiple hours and that you reacted, and that what you did was lash out to create space, which now I know is reactive abuse. Didn't know that was a thing. Who knows that there's like a term for that, right? Like, there definitely is. And it's 100% part of the playbook of personality disordered individuals. They get you to the point where you cannot take it anymore and you have to create space to be safe, literally safe. It's not that they're getting you to fight back because you're just mad. It's not like a normal thing. It's that you're in danger and you finally have to do something to be able to get away. And then they turn on their phone and they record you so that they can use it against you and tell everybody that you're the crazy one. Look, like she, for no reason, lost her shit on me and punched me in the face, which I didn't, and called me a loser, which I did. And I still feel bad about it. He doesn't feel bad for what he did, but I do, because I have a soul. But anyway, so that's a thing, and that was what Dwayne, shit, that was what he said about it. And I had told him, other stuff, and had confirmed it as well. He's like, constant threats of suicide, constant threats of self-harm, and using those to control you and your behavior and your responses to things is domestic violence. And you need to start to call the police when these things are happening. He's like, even if they don't do anything, which they never have. Police have helped me twice. Like, helped. Been called more. They've helped twice, and both times got him put in the mental house. But he's like, you need to call the police when this stuff happens and start a paper trail, because you're in danger. But yes, what happened was reactive abuse. Anyway, I had the videos, and now he had two things on me, which was that if I left him or told people about stuff that was going on, he was going to take half of my mom's life savings, and he was going to tell everyone that I was a husband abuser. And so when I say that I really learned to really, really try to focus on controlling myself, regardless of if I was in danger or not, I mean it. Like, I know that he had recorded his first wife, and I knew that he recorded his kids and shit. I didn't. But like, the things that he had me listen to weren't like them freaking out or anything like he had just had me do. They were just like, why did you record that type of deal? And I just thought he was fucking weird. I don't, and he is. But yeah, I mean, he's a recorder of how other people behave. And I guess he's a deleter of his recordings of how he behaves. I've never recorded him. Holy shit, would he be in jail forever? Forever, he would be in jail. But when stuff is actually happening, and you're either disassociated, or fighting for your life, or trying to just figure out how to get away, you're not like, oh, let me pull out my phone and record it like a psychopath. So that was kind of those two things combined had me in my place, man. Like, not to mention, like, literally every day was a crisis. Even if there wasn't a problem, there was a problem. Like, especially if there wasn't a problem, there was a problem, because we couldn't enjoy peace. We couldn't enjoy happiness. Certainly not for 24 hours. Maybe for part of the day. But like, there's always a problem. So even when shit like that would happen, like, if I went to some friend's house and that happened, and I could come home and like think about it and figure out what the hell it was, that would be a different situation. But when like you live with the person and you know things that they're gonna do that are gonna fuck up your life, and then you wake up the next morning and all of a sudden, he's suicidal, or the next morning he has sold his company, which he never did, or he's sold his car, or he crashed his car, or he's rehoming one of our animals, or like, there's always something, always something. There's always something. And so you're just like trying to get through day to day, hour to hour. And then that stuff just becomes a blur in the background, you know? While also recognizing that he's gonna record me if he can get me to snap. But once he knew that I was ashamed of my behavior, and once he knew that I knew that he could take money from my mom specifically to hurt me and not give a shit about it, everything really got worse because, like, he knew, right? He can get away with it. I'm not gonna leave him. I'm not gonna be the reason that my mom loses money that she worked her whole fucking life for. So I was trapped, or I thought I was trapped, or whatever. And then, because of his episode in March that year, it was like March 5th. So we'd only lived here for under 3 months at that point as newlyweds when he first lost his fucking mind on me to that extent. Oh shit, what was I gonna say? I don't even know what I was talking about. Oh my god. Not a clue. Not a clue. Okay, well, maybe we'll figure it out later. Oh, my family. So, like, when he had his meltdown in March, my whole family witnessed, like, he called the police on me. I had done literally nothing. I wouldn't let him in the house. He was suicidal, and he left and said he was getting a divorce, and he called me unattractive. He said I was ugly and I was unattractive, and he doesn't know why he married me because he hates me. He never loved me. I'm ugly, and he doesn't want to have sex with me. And why do I think that he spends all of his time in his RV and never spends any time with me? It's because he hates me. And, like, it went on and on and on for over 24 hours. And then he left after he said he was divorcing me. And then when he came back, and he was suicidal, and when he came back, I wouldn't let him in the house. And so he called the police on me. And when he talked to the police, he said that I was aggressive and I was in his face and all this shit. And I wasn't. I was on the welcome mat to the door with my back up against the door. And he was in my face. Which he admitted later in texts that he didn't feel threatened by me at all. He simply wanted to show me that he was gonna do what he wanted. Again, like, he power and control. He's insane. He's so evil. Police frequently came to our home. But yeah, my family was here after that, after he called the police on me, and everybody knew that he did, because I was still talking to my family at the time. They all came out. They're like, if he comes back, we'll keep him out of the house. And then that whole night, while he was continuing to text like a completely insane person, I was laying on the patio where the fire pit is outside, just on the ground, sobbing the whole night, and my sisters were reading the rapid fire hours of text messages that he was sending, and they're like, what the fuck is this? And so after that, and then after I did let him move back in, our family's never been the same. Because none of them were forgiving him. And because they didn't forgive him, he fucking hated them. And the isolation began. But anyway, they all went from being the best people that he'd ever met in his whole life to being the worst people that he'd ever met in his whole life. Because they didn't forgive him for being a complete asshole to me. And psychotic. And just something that none of us have ever experienced before. So yeah, I mean, I should have left. I should have just lost my mom's money and left and made her money back by having the job that I'm now losing. And this would all have worked out differently. However, that wasn't God's plan, because the reason I'm in this house is to help other women. And the plan is in the works. I have amazing people in my life. He's not one of them, obviously, but I have amazing people in my life, and people are making things happen. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Like, I really am. I'm genuinely excited for a year from now. And then I'm also just hoping to get by currently, hour to hour. But anyway, so like once that kind of shit happens, and then you're just like in survival mode literally every day. They just start getting away with more and more and more because you can't deal with it all. You just can't. You can't deal with it all. And then you shut up because you don't want him to hit himself in the head and beat himself in the legs and break your property or you. Then everything just gets worse. And then you don't have anyone to talk to. And you just swallow it every day. You just... Hopefully today isn't the day that he smashes my face in. And then when that's not the day that he smashes your face in, you're like, okay, well, today was a good fucking day. Even though it was an awful day, and an awful week, and an awful month. So that's kind of how that happens. Or happened with us, you know, and like, yeah, like a large part of it was psychological and mental during that whole thing as well. And things would happen and he'd say that they didn't happen, and if I couldn't prove it, I no longer believed myself. So just, everything becomes not real. I'm gonna end the video. I think I'm gonna throw up.